There's a genre of games that I've always enjoyed for the longest time, and that is roguelikes in all their iterations, spawning from the traditional, like Ancient Domains of Mystery or even Caves of Cud going way back, to more action roguelites known as roguelites now, like Dead Cells, and Hades, Risk of Rain 2. The list goes on, to other ideas like mixing in some deck building and Slay the Spire, or even having genre defining hybrids like Faster Than Light or Darkest Dungeon 2. And even more recently, games along the bullet heaven roguelite type of game like Megabonk have come into the scene. But all throughout playing these games and many more, somehow I missed this gem of a game. And if it hadn't been for YouTube recommending me a video of somebody talking about the game, I would have continued to not even know about its existence. I'm talking about Tales of Maj'Eyal, and I'm gonna butcher that name, so from now on we're gonna refer to it as ToME. And this game really hooked me. I can see why initially it would not be too appealing to modern gamer sensibilities, because graphically it's not that impressive of a game. But if you've been gaming for quite a while, you know that graphics can only carry you so far. If the core gameplay does not grasp you, if it doesn't keep you going, if it doesn't get you excited or addicted, then you're just not gonna keep on playing. And that's what this game has going for it. There are so many things, there's so many things that work in its favor, but we're gonna focus on 10. The first thing of this game is that its heart is a true roguelite. So it still retains a lot of the initial core ideas of the genre, like permadeath and procedural generation and turn-based tactics, but it does have a lot of updated, UI elements and tooltips, and it has a more clear way of being read, so it's a little bit easier to pick up while still containing a lot of depth for you to explore. So it does balance that old school feel with a little bit more modern accessibility while still keeping the challenge. And speaking of that, the combat is turn-based, but you can obviously go faster or slower depending on where you're starting off. It emphasizes positioning, timing, resource management. You have a lot of abilities to juggle, as well as maybe infusions or runes or shields, or even using terrain to your advantage. And of course, there's different resources that you have to manage depending on your class, like stamina, mana, hate. There's so many other ones. But this leads me to point number 3. And this is one of the things that makes this game so replayable, so fun, is the amount of build diversity that there is. Not only do you have a lot of races to start off with, which also come with their own little passive and stat bonuses and so on, but there's also a lot of different classes that you can mix and match together with those race combinations to make some truly unique builds. On top of which, you can also even spec into talent points that are outside of your class, making your own particular build. From the start, the game will limit you in terms of how many races and classes you can access, because the first ones that you have access to are the easiest to pick up and the easiest to get a handle on the game. Then, as you progress along and you unlock more characters, more classes, you're able to delve deeper into time manipulation and so many other cool things that makes this game worth exploring. Another point that makes this game interesting to play is how the world feels to traverse. There's a backstory for every zone that you go in, for every faction, for every race. The story, however, unfolds through exploration. You're discovering. It's not just exposition, you sitting through cutscenes or anything like that. Dynamic quests with multiple outcomes and consequences. Player choices where you pick what you want to do influence the world events and the faction relations. Each run can maybe reveal a new storyline or event that you haven't seen before, and the lore integrates seamlessly with the gameplay rather than feeling detached, which I think makes it more immersive. And speaking of that, we talked about it being procedural, but I think this game gets it right. Randomized levels still maintain a thematic and mechanical coherence, so that means that you're not just going to go someplace and have no idea where you're at if you've already been there before. You're going to have a general idea, but you're going to have new and varied encounters. So the dungeons will vary in layout and encounter design, but they retain recognizable identity. There's smart enemy placement, which ensures balanced difficulty and tension, and every run provides a unique tactical and exploration challenge. This makes the experience remain fresh, playthrough through playthrough, not to mention that you're mastering the game, you're mastering the core mechanics, you're mastering the new classes that you have available to you, and so it doesn't feel like it's artificially random. It feels like you're getting a fresh, unique experience every time that you play through. The cool thing now is also the game has multiple difficulties, so you might have normal or nightmare, and the list goes on. And then, of course, you have different modes as well, where you have like adventure mode where you get extra lives, but you, of course, have the traditional roguelike where it's just permadeath, and then as soon as you die, you're done for. And so there's a lot of emphasis on learning your way through and kind of approaching the game however you want. There's also a lot of modding and community support for the game, so if you want to have access to even community-based classes or campaigns or quality of life stuff or any modifications, those are available through the Steam Workshop. And so you're able to kind of mod the game to your likeness, which means that you're going to have even more hours to play. And this, of course, all ties in with a rewarding sense of progression. Like I said, you have persistent unlocks across characters, new classes, races, and difficulties. There's achievements-based rewards. There's meta progression. Each run builds on future runs, so it encourages long-term engagement rather than having, you know, quick playthrough with things that kind of force you to play like modern games do nowadays. And of course, it wouldn't add to the immersion if the game didn't have some really cool atmosphere and sound design. Now, it is minimalist, like you can see on the screen. There's nothing like super fancy in terms of visuals, but everything is clear, easy to read, it's easy to follow, it's easy to pick up. There's a lot of depth that will keep you playing. There's a lot of talents and builds that you can go through, but the game keeps you on that exploration with atmospheric sounds and really fun music to go along with. So I think it honestly makes for a replayable adventure. All in all, this is one of those games where if you're watching a video, it may not necessarily carry across how fun it can be to play until you get your hands on it yourself, and at which point you're going to start, you're going to create your character, you're going to go through a little bit of a storyline, and all of a sudden you're going to look at your watch and it's been quite a few hours since you last put down the game, and you'll realize just how addicted you are and how much you want to keep going. And that's a testament to how fun this game can be. And it's kind of crazy that it came out like over 13 years ago and it's still going, and it's still rather underrated considering the amount of reviews, but that's on the Steam side. I don't actually know how many sales it made through the website or through donations, considering the base game is now free and you can get subsequent expansions by paying if you want to. But that's changed over time, so I don't actually know how many people have actually played the game, but it is honestly worth playing if you're into this type of game. I would really recommend it. Until next time, I'll see you guys over on the streams. We're going to be playing some Warhammer Online, Return of Reckoning, more than likely, until Monsters and Memories is back up again. So, hope to see you guys there.